Greg Byrne. Tell us about Greg Byrne. How would you rate him as an athletic director in the SEC or in college football? I mean, obviously they've had great success at Alabama.
As far as athletic directors go, I mean, Greg Byrne is as good as anybody in the SEC in terms of doing what he's supposed to do for Alabama. Greg Byrne is the opposite of what Alabama's leadership was like after Bear Bryant retired in 1982.
Great.
He understands how forward-thinking the program needs to be. He understands that, put it this way, Greg Byrne is the only person in Alabama who realizes that Alabama is not the center of the universe in college football, and that they can't carry themselves like they are if they want to keep winning. And so, and I mean, he is just so you guys, I don't know if you guys know this, to give you a rundown on how Alabama works. I know this because my mother lives in Tuscaloosa, but Alabama fans think Bear Bryant invented the phrase "act like you've been there." They'll literally say when you go somewhere, they'll be like, you know what Bear Bryant said, act like you've been there. And I had to be like, guys, Paul Brown, the Cleveland Browns coach, said that, not Bear Bryant. Only you guys think Bear Bryant invented that. But they actually think that.
Okay. They think something else that's pretty stupid. So give us Greg Byrne's new idea to stop field charging.
So Greg Byrne recently was talking in an interview with ESPN, and it was about the safety of storming the field and storming the courts. And he said, quote, "I think from a safety standpoint, keeping people off the fields and courts is a good thing for everybody involved." I agree so far. But then he goes further and he said, if we said that the home team, if they storm the field or court, they're going to lose the game right then and there, that will stop it. So he's suggesting that if you win a game and your fans storm the field or court, you should forfeit that win.
Okay, well then every team would be undefeated, because why wouldn't you charge the field no matter what happened?
No, because if he's saying if the home team's crowd storms the field, they automatically lose that game.
Okay. Well,
but you're on the right track. Here's the flaw in the argument. Most college football stadiums, for the record, have a sizable chunk of their stadium set off for visiting fans. So if the visiting team loses the game, the visiting fans will just storm the field and make sure the home team has to forfeit the game. This is relevant because last year, what were Alabama's two losses or teams stormed the field? Yes, Tennessee fans stormed the field when they beat Alabama, but Vanderbilt fans stormed the field also when they beat Alabama. Dave, you saw that Alabama-Vanderbilt game. There were more Alabama fans than Vanderbilt fans in Nashville at that game.
They easily could have charged and won that game.
Yeah, they easily could have charged the field and won the game. You're literally doing the opposite. You would incentivize it would increase field storming by opposing fan bases. And I mean, it's just, I don't get it. If you want to cut down on field storming, there's one simple rule. Go to your local police department and your local city council and say, hey, pass an ordinance banning field storming, and then criminally prosecute people who do it.
And I'm going to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, and I want this to be a poll question. Do you consider field charging or court charging an issue? I mean, does it bother you? Because I'm going to say bank on it that they do need to do more, because I was in a situation when Georgia beat Tennessee for the first time in a number of years. And I remember, have you ever been in a crowd where you feel like your feet aren't moving, your body's just moving? That's the way it felt. And two females, co-eds, fell right in front of me, and it was all I could do to hold people up so that we didn't crush them. I was scared, and I was probably 280 pounds at the time. And it was, and there's other ways to do it too, where you don't hold everybody back. You kind of let them trickle onto the field. That's what it felt like when Tennessee beat Alabama. But bank on it. This is a stupid idea. Member FDIC, commercial bank, life made better.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions.
I'm going to go another bank on it as well. I don't think Greg Byrne really believes that this could pass. I think he's throwing it out there. Just throw it against the wall and see what sticks. Maybe some legislation will come out of it, but I don't believe for a second he really thinks this will pass. Do you?
No, it would because again, although I don't think Greg Sankey's that forward thinking, so he might pass it, not realizing what I just said. It would incentivize road teams to storm the court or field when their team wins. So I don't think it'll pass. This is Greg Byrne is upset because let's be honest, nobody has seen more field storming after a loss in Alabama over the last 10 years, 12 years. Happens to them more than anybody else. I didn't think Tennessee should have stormed it last year. I still stand by this though, guys. And look, I get the arguments on storming the field.
Storm it last year?
Yeah, they stormed when they beat Alabama last year, which they shouldn't have done.
Okay.
I'm going to say this. And look, we lost a couple of subscribers when I said this about Jermaine Burton with Tennessee storming the field in 2022. I stand by what I said then. I stand by what I said with Amari Thomas when an Arkansas player stormed the field last year. The minute you step on the field, your rights end as a fan.
Yeah.
It is a green light for the player to do whatever the hell he wants. You are trespassing into his vicinity. And I think if he wants to knock you out and all your teeth get knocked out, he should be free and you have to pay all your dental bills. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Your rights end the second you step on the field. And
I have no argument with that. I mean, I whether it was the Jermaine Burton thing or the Amari Thomas thing, and I found it interesting. I really thought the Amari Thomas incident would get more pub because 2 people went down. It was a bad look, and really it didn't. And I think the sports community just kind of said what you said, and that is, if you step on that field, you're responsible for yourself and you're putting yourself in harm's way. I mean, you don't go play on the railroad tracks. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
Right, exactly. And I've said this, if you bring a child onto the field, you should be charged with child endangerment. Honestly, you should absolutely be charged with child endangerment if you bring a child onto the field. It is a dangerous thing to do. And also, like, particularly with an Amari Thomas, defensive linemen are the worst case of this because, Dave, defensive linemen have had to spend 60 minutes, 3 hours being in an angry, mean streak, pushing people left and right, right? Yes. And as they're trying to walk off the field after they have this angry streak about them because they have to turn that on to be good. And now they just lost. So their anger is probably like never more. Is anybody's anger more dialed up than a defensive lineman who just lost a close football game?
I was at the game where Albert Hainsworth took the cleats and rubbed it on Andre Giroud's face. And he talked about it. He said that Jeff Fisher, if you remember, he was their franchise player 2 years in a row. I think that was the first time that was ever done. I got him paid before he went to Washington, and that didn't work out. But he said that Jeff Fisher changed his game because he made sure that he saw red. He was that angry before every game.
Yeah.
And that's how he had to play. And,
like Waterboy, like the whole joke, but like Waterboy, when, you got to envision the people who are mean to you to get mad. Like defensive lineman, that's an exaggeration, but you kind of have to do that as a defensive lineman, right? You have to do things that make you mad. And then you're walking off the field after a close loss. What are you going to do when a fan runs in your way and maybe talks a little bit of trash? Yeah, I'm sorry. Your rights in. You cannot complain whatever happens to you if you step on that field after the team loses. Now, if you're in the NBA and Ron Artest comes into the stands and beats the hell out of you, okay, you might have a lawsuit. Not if you threw a cup of beer on him, but like in that same Pacers-Pistons brawl, that one fan that ran onto the court when Jermaine O'Neal punched him in the face and knocked him out, Jermaine O'Neal slipped. Had he not slipped, had he punched the fan, he probably would have killed him. I would have been sitting there saying, you know what? Jermaine O'Neal shouldn't be charged. That fan ran on the court and tried to throw a punch at Jermaine O'Neal. Like, that's already like, I'm sorry. You try to throw a punch at Jermaine O'Neal, that's like just standing in the middle of a train. Like,
I don't think people realize the difference in athleticism and size and speed and strength. I mean, like you made a reference yesterday. So they did this combine thing for media members, and you said how hard it was to break a 5 flat. And you're right. It's nearly impossible. The person that came the closest was Josh Ward, and he ran like a 5.25.
Really?
Yeah, and
Wow.
that was buff, and there were some embarrassing ones. Like I wasn't going. That's when I was heavy. I wasn't going to have any part of that. I don't know what I'd run now, but maybe we can. Who runs the faster 40, me or Caleb?
Well, Dave is a workout warrior right now. I got to get my workout game on. So
Slipping lately.
who ran a faster 40, Dave at 36 or Caleb? Because you said you struggled with your health in your 30s. So, you know.
Oh yeah, you were way faster. I was super fat. Now,
there you go.
who got through the buffet the fastest? Well, that would have been me. But the 40-yard dash, no. I mean that would have been all you. There's no question about it. You seem like you may be a little bit spry to me, like athletically.
I mean, look. I'm not. My brother was actually the athlete in the family. My brother, I am an active person, if that's what you mean by it. Like, but I don't just don't have the time to work out, and I need to make the time for it, honestly.
Oh, I meant like just athletic and in general. Were you a backyard warrior? Did you play sports at all?
I played a little bit, but not as much as you would think. My older brother was actually the athlete in the family. My older brother was actually very athletic.
Yeah, I always love that when people say, you didn't play the sport, so you don't know what you're talking about. Well, my heart surgeon didn't have a heart attack, but I trust him.
Yeah. Also, when people say that, I'm like, well, you don't write, so you don't know what you're talking about with my writing. So, it's such a dumb take. About the best, Bill Belichick never played in the NFL. The best general managers right now never played the sport they're general managing on. It's a dumb take. And also, you guys are out here saying you didn't play the sport. Y'all are acting like football's complicated. Okay, football's only complicated if you're dumb.
Dave's 40 time is 3 to 4 business days. That's probably about right. And I would probably need a car to make it just that far. I don't even know that I've run 40 yards in a long time. I don't do anything cardio wise. I just lift. So I may be winded after a 40-yard dash.
I think no, because 40 yards don't really test your cardio that much. Like, I feel like 100 meters is when you might start seeing that.